Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Let me read it to you exactly as it appears. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. 4 verses. Buried between a genealogy and a flood narrative. Mentioned once, and then almost never explained. But here's the thing. Every culture on Earth, in isolation, across oceans, across millennia, has its own version of this story. Giants, half-divine beings, the offspring of heaven and earth, the heroes before the flood. This episode is about what those stories say, what the actual ancient texts say, when you take them seriously instead of explaining them away. Welcome to Unburied Remnants. The truth was never lost, it was buried. Let's dig in. First, the word itself, Nephilim. In Hebrew, it comes from the root nafal, to fall. The Nephilim are either the fallen ones or those who cause others to fall. Both meanings appear in the scholarly literature, and both are deeply loaded. The beings who father the Nephilim are called the sons of God, in Hebrew, Bene Elohim. In the Old Testament, this phrase always refers to divine beings, not humans, not metaphors. In Job chapter 1, the Bene Elohim present themselves before God, and Satan is among them. In Job chapter 38, God tells Job that when he laid the foundations of the earth, the sons of God shouted for joy. These are not people. They are heavenly beings. The same beings we discussed in episode 3, the Divine Council. And Genesis 6 says that some of them looked at human women and made a choice. They came down, they had children, and those children, the Nephilim, were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. That last phrase is significant, also afterward. The flood happened, and yet the Nephilim appear again on the other side of it. When the Israelite spies entered Canaan, recorded in Numbers chapter 13, they came back with this report. We saw the Nephilim there, the sons of Anak, and we seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. These are not mythological creatures from a distant age. In the biblical narrative, they are historical enemies, present, named, inhabiting specific land that Israel was trying to take. The most sober record of a giant in the entire Bible is not in Genesis. It is in Deuteronomy chapter 3. Og, king of Bashan, is presented not as a myth, but as a recent military opponent, a king whose territory Israel had just conquered. And the text provides a specific piece of physical evidence. Deuteronomy 3:11 reads, "His bed was made of iron and was more than 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide." That is approximately 4.1 meters long by 1.8 meters wide. This is a land record, a legal text, a property document included in a list of territorial conquests, not a heroic poem, not a myth cycle, a legal inventory. You do not include a bed measurement in a legal land record unless the bed is physically unusual enough to require noting. The text is matter of fact because the author expected the reader to know exactly what kind of person would require a bed of those dimensions. His descendants, the Anakim, the Rephaim, appear repeatedly across Deuteronomy, Joshua, and 1 Samuel. They are not peripheral characters. They are a recurring geopolitical reality that Israel had to deal with, generation after generation, until David's warriors finally eliminated the last of them in 2 Samuel chapter 21. In 1947, among the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered at Qumran, there was a text called the Book of Giants. It was not a canonical scripture. It was an expansion of the Genesis 6 narrative, detailing what the Nephilim actually did, what they dreamed, and how they were judged. Here is the detail that should make you stop. The Book of Giants names specific Nephilim, and one of the names it gives is Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh. the hero of the greatest Sumerian epic in history, the king of Uruk, 2/3 divine, 1/3 human, according to the Sumerian texts themselves. A Dead Sea Scroll found in a cave in the Judean desert, a Jewish text written in Aramaic, identifies the same figure. This is not a coincidence of names. This is a direct textual link between the Hebrew Nephilim tradition and the Sumerian demigod tradition. The same beings, different cultures, different languages, same story. Let's go wide now. Because the Hebrew tradition is not alone in this, the Greek Titans were the children of Uranos, heaven, and Gaia, earth, the union of the divine and the human realm. They were beings of enormous power and stature, predating the Olympian gods, eventually imprisoned beneath the earth after a war. The Gigantes, the giants, were their descendants. The Sumerian king list records the earliest rulers of Mesopotamia, with reigns of tens of thousands of years. These kings are described in semi-divine terms. They are the bridge between the gods and ordinary humanity. Gilgamesh himself is listed, 2/3 divine, 1/3 human, with a reign of 126 years. The Norse had the Jotnar, the frost giants, beings who existed at the margins of the world, predating the gods, dangerous, enormous, and who occasionally mixed with the divine. Odin himself had Jotnar ancestry. The Hindu Mahabharata contains the Danavas and Daityas, giant beings of divine origin who war with the gods. The Vedic tradition records the Asuras, pre-divine beings of great power. The Aztec tradition speaks of the Quinametsin, a race of giants who inhabited the world in a previous age and were destroyed by the gods before the current creation. Multiple Native American tribes, the Piute, the Choctaw, the Navajo, have oral traditions describing a race of large, sometimes red-haired people who occupied the land before their own ancestors. The Piute tradition in particular, recorded by Sarah Winnemucca Hopkins in the 19th century, is detailed and specific. Every one of these traditions arose independently. They were not reading each other's texts. They were not in contact. And yet the same story, divine or semi-divine beings, of unusual size and power, existing in an age before the current world, appears in all of them. In 1912, miners working in Lovelock Cave in Nevada made a series of finds that were documented by the Loewen Museum and the University of California. Among the artifacts recovered, duck decoys, woven baskets, preserved food, there were reports of skeletal remains of unusual size. Some accounts place certain individuals at 6 to 7 feet. A number of the mummies found had reddish hair. Lovelock Cave is a documented archaeological site. The artifacts are real. The debate is over the skeletal dimensions, whether they were genuinely anomalous or whether the accounts were exaggerated in the retelling. What is not in dispute is this. The Piute oral tradition, recorded decades before the 1912 excavation, already described red-haired giants in that specific region. The oral tradition and the archaeological find are in the same location. That alignment is at minimum worth noting. The Smithsonian controversy is harder to assess. Throughout the 19th century, American newspapers documented numerous reports of oversized skeletal remains found during construction and farming. Many were reportedly sent to the Smithsonian Institution. The Smithsonian's current position is that no such remains exist in their collections. Whether those reports were accurate, exaggerated, or deliberately suppressed is something the available evidence cannot currently settle. What can be said is that the volume of reports, spanning decades and dozens of locations, is unusual. This episode is not claiming that 20-foot giants walked the earth. It is claiming something more specific and more defensible than that. The textual tradition is internally consistent and globally distributed. The Hebrew, Greek, Norse, Sumerian, Native American, Hindu, and Aztec traditions all describe the same archetype. Beings of unusual size and power, born from a mixing of divine and human lineages, present in an earlier age of the world. When a story appears in that many places, with that many consistent details, across cultures that never met, there are only 3 explanations. It is a universal feature of human psychology. It is a memory of a shared ancient contact that we have lost the record of. Or it is a memory of something that actually happened. None of those explanations are comfortable. All of them are worth taking seriously. The Nephilim appear in Genesis as an almost throwaway mention. 4 verses, buried between a genealogy and a flood. But the flood comes immediately after. And the reason God gives for the flood, in the very next verses, is that the earth had become corrupt. That every inclination of the human heart was evil. According to the text, the Nephilim and the corruption of the earth are directly connected. Whatever they were, they mattered enough to require a reset. That is not a small claim. Next episode, we move to Egypt and find that the same divine council structure, the same forbidden knowledge figure, the same flood memory, all appear in a completely different civilization on a different continent. The gods of Egypt may not be as different from the sons of God as your Sunday school teacher suggested. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching Unburied Remnants. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to help support the channel. Stay curious, keep digging.